Welcome to the Acquisition HQ podcast, where we interview founders of companies, individuals that have holdcos, as well as M&A service providers to provide information and knowledge for you out there in your business endeavors. Today, we're joined with a special guest, Justin Thompson. He's the founder of Be Good Media and a growth architect specializing in post-acquisition and pre-acquisition value creation through the leverage of AI and media, as well as marketing. With 15 years of experience across corporate portfolios and scaling agency operations, he helps operators, acquirers, and holdco builders turn marketing into a controllable growth lever using AI-driven systems and proven frameworks to rapidly increase ROI and enterprise value after a close. I cannot wait to learn a little bit more, and thank you so much for joining us today.
Hey, you're welcome, Nate. I appreciate it, and thank you for having me. I'm really excited to get into this.
Well, before we got on the podcast today, we talked a little bit about how AI is transforming the world.
Yes.
It's not only here, it's going to be here to stay, and I'm going to dive right into that right now. So where we can get into the frameworks that are being created, the data extraction, as well as the organization that is happening very quickly within software and how that's applicable for businesses to leverage. But before we get into that, what brought you into what you're currently doing today?
Yeah, well, I guess, I've been in a lot of different roles in my life. I've been through large corporations, through startup companies, now a little over 3.5 years into starting my own business, and really just trying to understand how to leverage best of my abilities of what I have to do to create the mission that I like to say that I'm on is kind of this impact and alignment with profit. And so profit is a very needed thing in terms of business and business growth. And you can do a lot of great things with a profitable business. And so understanding how we can utilize that profit to create more impact for not only individuals, but communities around the world.
Well, I believe that is, it should be a foundation of everything that you do to make an impact and an income simultaneously. And I think that many people are losing that, obviously, as we get into business and we're maybe seeing some success. As you probably have seen this, people can be warped a little bit, but that's the culture. It's a little bit of a kind of counterculture that we're creating together with the acquisition headquarters. But share with us a little bit more on how marketing was something that you naturally gravitated towards, and then now establishing your own brand and business.
Yeah. Really what it was about marketing was just the interest in storytelling, the interest in messaging, right? Because that's really what draws people to want to, I started my career in corporate world in sales, and so I have a very extensive sales background. But within sales, you always have to do the storytelling. You always have to commit with people or communicate with people for them to understand why they're buying. And typically, as people buy it from people that they know, like, and want to do business with. So through that, I saw an opportunity for marketing to be a bigger component because, again, corporate world, we always saw this rift between sales and marketing. It was always kind of like butting heads between the two. Mm-hmm. And I always saw them as something that in alignment with each other, they could make a huge impact. And so I sought to really create a marketing company that had messaging behind it that drove and helped drive sales for companies and businesses, that then they can continue to grow their profit, grow their business, expand, and then through that expand, hire more people, support their community, so on, within the support of making an impact.
We're starting to see that, though, too, in businesses, and it's always been like that, right? If you have a good narrative and you've created a good story, then your potential customer is going to be more apt to leverage or to use your business or shop for your product or service. And I think that's so true with what you just said, is making sure that your business is aligning with that person. I love your message with your media company called Be Good.
Yes.
And I think that there's more people, again, that have to have that as their foundation, so then we can truly transform the world.
Yeah.
So share with us now. I'm going to dig deep now. You just said you finished up an AI course, 2 weeks.
Yep. Intensive 2-week course.
Intensive 2 weeks, in a closed room.
Yes.
I don't know what it was like, but share with us a little bit deeper as to what's happening in the space of AI, and then how companies can leverage that to the nth degree to 10x what they're currently going to be working towards.
Yeah, well, here comes that kind of intersection of what we've been talking about with creating impact. And, AI is now becoming this thing where I think the fear part of it becomes everyone thinks it's going to take jobs, right? And there's some truth to that. But it's also how do we elevate AI to create a better user experience from the human centric side of it. It's enhancing what we can do from the creative of a human element, and allowing us to do better, do faster, do quicker, whatever it may be. And so that's where AI can really come in to help. Of course, there's going to be people out there who see it as an opportunity to let go of a bunch of people and use AI to try to replace them. I'm sure it's coming, but I haven't yet seen that AI can do what people can do, in creating, art. And that's really what it's about in marketing and storytelling, is creating that art and that human emotion side of it. I have yet to see that. So that's a big piece of it. Where AI can really come in and support and help is understanding. I mean, we talked about a little bit before this, in understanding large data sets, right? That's a huge piece of it. If you're operating and you're acquiring businesses and you have multiple businesses across different streams within a similar vertical, now you can create those data sets and see where there might be some cross promotion. There might be something in one audience for a business that might be able to be utilized for another business. If you are creating graphics or you're creating any sort of video work, anything out there that you can do AI with, then you can amplify that across different sectors. And now you're streamlining things. So you're creating the same individuals in your company can be more powerful with AI. It doesn't mean that AI can replace them, but now you're enhancing the ability of someone within the company to do more and to find more opportunities to cross promote.
I also, and I think you're speaking from primarily a creative standpoint and as well a marketing narrative to be able to attract the right customer, right? But it's that speed of creation that is starting to come into play as well, because a lot of times, within business, it's the speed that you execute that is one of your biggest differentiating factors, as well as your creativity, of course.
Yep.
I like to look at AI as well, almost like whenever I have something on my mind, for you guys out there and those who are watching this, it's if you have a note. Back in the day, we'd probably just take notes on a notepad, right?
Yep.
Well, what we can do now is we can enhance those notes times 10.
Yes.
We can simply just place a note and say elaborate.
Yeah.
And then what does that do? It sparks additional creativity upon the knowledge that is gained. So, anyway, it's just, I'm sure we could go deeper into that.
Oh, yeah. Well, a good example of that would be recently I've been putting together for my own internal systems is a platform, because we have a note taker for all of our Zoom meetings. And I would say 95% of our meetings that we have with clients, with partners, with vendors, internally, are all through Zoom. And so we have a note taker that is on every Zoom call. And so all of a sudden I started looking back at this note taker, and we're in 50 plus meetings a month, which is absurd sometimes when I think about it. But now I understood, how can AI help me with this? I've created a system within some platforms that basically analyze every meeting of the month and gives me a report at the end of the month of what we've talked about. There's no way I can remember what I did, day one of the month when the end of the month is done. And so now I can understand, I can look at all that and get some data and almost get like a report card of what's been going on. Now, the fun thing with AI, as it continues to get better and you train it up, now it's going to understand what kind of things are important to me, and now it spits back this report that continues to get better for the needs that I have within the business. And that can be done for just about anything you can think of. I mean, really, the creative side of this, the creative element from the individuals that are out there, that's where AI comes in, and it is almost limitless to your creativity of what you can put out.
Yeah, we're seeing, so there's financial analysis that's being leveraged with and also created with AI to streamline and scale as well as give us valued feedback. That's one thing that's advancing very quickly right now within portcos as well as holdcos, right? Because like you said, we're looking for various ways to streamline the efficiencies within companies. And again, if you're not leveraging AI to continually help you streamline every aspect of your standard operating procedures within your company, you are failing.
Yes.
You will lose because somebody else is using it
Yep.
and they're faster than you.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
are you seeing that? And then also, how are you seeing that businesses are now adapting AI? And then also, can you please share with others out there your suggestions as to best practices for the adherence to, I guess, the future?
Yeah. Well, I guess I'll take the last question first, because it's the one I remember.
Yes,
So,
it's okay. We'll go back.
As far as best practices, there are a lot of tools. I mean, the tough part is there is so much going on with AI, and it's so difficult to keep up. And I think that's the hard part of businesses just don't know where to start. And so there are a lot of things. Everyone knows ChatGPT, right? And then, of course, there's Claude and Perplexity and Gemini, and there's all these different tools that most people know about. Well, I would say probably a large majority of people don't understand that you can actually download those programs. Claude would probably be the one that's the most primary for this, and you can have it on your internal system, so it's not connected to the larger web, the internet, right? And so that's probably the biggest component of fear for larger companies is they go, well, if I'm putting everything out there and asking ChatGPT to analyze all my financial reporting, well, then that information technically is out there for someone to find. And so you can start creating model content protocol, MCPs, within your own company that basically create servers and systems for you to have an internal network that can connect to all of the different AIs that are out there, but it's not connected overall to the internet. So it's kind of a large scope of things, but that's probably best practices for larger companies who want to analyze probably more, critical data that they don't want to be shared with everyone on the internet.
Are you seeing companies or some of the technologies that you guys are working with to be able to create your own LLM with the internal data that is coming into your company? For example, all of with us, we have our media, right?
Yep.
So there's a transcript that is created with all of our media, and then that transcript is able to be accessed through a query.
Yeah.
Is there various large language models that are in essence a SaaS platform for companies to adhere to or create?
Yes. I mean, you can essentially connect almost any LLM out there. You could essentially create with a lot of the coding platforms that are out there.
Okay.
You could create your own LLM. I don't think it would be worth the time and effort when you can essentially take that and access and hook it into your own system on your own server and then keep it a little bit more private that way. And then connect that internally to your own team.
That's good. So I think it's important for us to rewind a little bit and look at everything from a very global viewpoint now. You have the extraction of data, the organization of data, the feedback and the input. So you'll input, you'll receive an output. That output is based on the aggregation of data across the entire web.
Yep.
So what you're seeing within your company that you're building, but also within the systems that you've created within your company, extreme value increase based on, if you do this correctly, the systems that you are implementing inside of your company. And that's what I think is really important for people that are looking for an acquisition, is they have people like yourself who can help you, one, with your marketing, your narrative, your creative, but then also the implementation of AI inside of your corporation.
Yeah. Yeah. I would say that if you don't already have a plan and a strategy to incorporate AI into your business, then you're way behind.
Yeah.
So that's a very important thing for people to understand. It is here.
Yeah.
And you've mentioned it a few times of the speed to market.
Yes.
And getting there. That's going to be an important factor because your competitors are using it or someone else is using it. and so, and maybe even it's an internal person is using it against your knowledge, and it's nothing. They're not trying to harm the business, but maybe they're just jumping on ChatGPT to find something out. And if you don't create a system or a plan or a strategy internally to make sure that data is kept inside and not left out there, then you're really behind the curve. And it is moving so quickly. That's the biggest thing. Like, staying on top of this is one of the most critical pieces, and it can make your head spin with everything new that's out there. But it's also one of those things that again, the creativity of what you can do with all of this is endless.
Let's talk about the value of your data and, in essence, cybersecurity. I know that's not exactly what you guys have done, but you've ran across that. And then as well, the various, so let's do the value of the data that not just data, but the domain and security. Do you guys ever run into that? And then also, what are some suggestions that you would make very high level for those out there that have this? And then there may be a transfer of ownership of some sort, just to make sure that you're protecting your online.
Yeah. I mean, again, that comes down to the strategy and the execution of what you have internally for your systems, and how you're implementing any sort of AI into what you're doing. So if you do have an internal system for AI that is using a large language model, then all that data should be secure and downloaded and kept to yourself. And then it can also be transferred if you're selling a business or then acquiring a business. And I think that's a really key piece to understanding the profitability of a business, is understanding what they're doing with AI and what they're doing with their marketing, because that's a key critical piece to the valuation of a business. It's not just about the financials all the time, but also where are they going and how are they acquiring more business? And that's through marketing means.
Well, I believe too is the narratives that we're going to create via AI that's prompting our marketing and story creation can either be very robotic, or we can take the latter, which would be leveraged creativity via your large language model.
Yes.
Because, if there's advancements in, obviously, your large language model that accesses content that is currently being created by everyone everywhere, they're still you, and you have the ability to craft and create stories that can be authentic and creative.
Yes.
Which again can impact the bottom line, because at the end of the day, we want you as the the seasoned operator, as well as others that are operating various companies, to have obviously increased bottom line.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's who is connecting with you, how, and what is the narrative that you're sharing with them.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it is an important piece to continue to harp on, is that it is about how AI is supporting and enhancing our abilities as humans to create value.
Yeah.
And that's the key piece. It's not to replace people, but if we can actually, it's the old saying, garbage in, garbage out. That is so typical with AI. I mean, if you're just prompting, prompt engineering is a thing, like a legit thing. People engineer how to put prompts together. And that's one of the easiest, most critical things that people, I don't think, understand. But if you're just going on and saying, hey, AI, help me do this thing, and then it gives you an answer, it's probably good and you like it. But if you do it in a different way, or you're actually prompting it in an intelligent way, it's really increasing the value of what you're getting. And that's going to come from the human center of it.
Yeah.
And if not, you're not going to be able to get that from AI.
It's good to know.
Point.
Yeah. So we have web pages, and every web page has information, one that's being seen, but also on the back end. And you know this to be true, right?
Yeah.
You have the HTML code, you have various aspects of various templates that have been created.
Yes.
And now we've advanced from not just your SEO, but we have other acronyms that are indicative of AI SEO in essence.
Yeah.
There's a term for it. So share with me some of the terms, and then how other companies can be cognizant of the advancements of how their companies are or are not searchable on LLMs.
Yeah. Well, and you're getting into a realm that my business partner, Joseph Jones, is like the expert at with the SEO, and what is now coming out is GEO, which is generative engine optimization. And so that's how are these LLM models picking up on key indicators that are out there, signals, to be able to present information to somebody when they're searching for it. And this is really going to be a critical piece for businesses, because the way people are searching and finding business and doing business is completely shifting.
It's changing.
It's changing drastically. I mean, this has been around for a while, since ChatGPT has really become a household name. But I mean, I'm sure it's higher now, actually. But it was a statistic that 60% of Google searches were going unclicked. Basically meaning that you're getting your answer from Gemini AI as soon as you search for it. And I think everyone that's listening to this probably just went, oh, yeah.
I'm starting to see that more now.
Yeah, I searched for something and I just saw my answer there. I didn't even click on anything, right? So that's the generative side of it. Now, one thing that my business partner, Joseph, has coined is PRO. And so that's personalized response optimization. And so what this is doing is now it's changing from people searching for a business because it's something they like, but now the AI and these LLM models are understanding what you're searching for, learning and remembering that, and then giving you components of what you might be seeking before you even ask for it, based on your search history, what you've done. We've seen that with Google before. It presents, top keywords and top links based on what you have previously searched. Well, now that's going to a much deeper level where people are at. It's actually going to present to you what it thinks you would rather know or find. The classic example is like a restaurant. So if you are constantly clicking on or going to a certain style of restaurant, well, then when you search for something in a new city, when you travel there, it's probably going to give you those relevant types of information in terms of the restaurant it presents, based on what it knows from its history. Yeah. So now it's that personalized response is what we bring to it. So how are you personalizing your content to the exact audience that you want to be presenting to? And those things can be segmented, right? Because we all know that businesses have multiple target audiences. So when you're looking at your avatars, like who are you trying to get in front of, and then create information around that. Yeah. So that when they're searching on these LLM models, then that information is being presented. And honestly, it is the wild, wild west right now. We don't know how this is necessarily going to play out. We don't know how it's going to shake out. I sent you a little note in an email about like, just get comfortable with exploring in the dark. Like, that's what it's about. Like, you have to be like, okay, I have to make movements. We don't know exactly how it's changing and shaping things yet. But I promise you, if you're not in it, if you're not a part of it, then as soon as those lights kind of start coming on, you're going to be way behind. So, yeah.
Well, I'd like to, before we end, I'd like to have an encapsulation, in essence, of this podcast, and as well have you share with our audience some best practices for the seasoned operators out there. Now, those best practices, let's hit on two things. They're one, their marketing and best practices there, and then two, healthy AI implementation.
Yeah, let's see if that works now. Geez, getting on a podcast and then getting something stuck in your throat is...
That's why we have water here.
Yep. So as far as the marketing, so let's see if we can get back to it. Yeah. I've always been, in terms of where Be Good Media starts, is authenticity, and that's like when we talk about this personalized response optimization, like it is, you have to be authentic to like who you truly are and what your message and what you're trying to do for business, because people are going to find out if it's different. Mm-hmm. It's going to be, you're going to be found out if you're inauthentic or not in alignment with like who you're really trying to reach, what you're really trying to do versus what you're presenting. And so that's, from a marketing standpoint, it's got to be all about that. And if it's something that like, profit is a good thing. And if all you're trying to do is build as much profit and, not necessarily care about people or what, like, that's fine. But like, be authentic to that and your vision on what you're trying to do with that. But it really is about creating value through authenticity, because you're gonna, more and more so, I think the younger generations, as I think we're around the same age, but we didn't grow up with a lot of this. So I'm looking at the kids that are, teenagers now in 10 years are going to be a massive buying group. The kids that are, in their early 20s now that in 10 years are going to start becoming managers of businesses.
True.
They're going to acquire businesses. They're going to be looking at buying things. They're going to want to do it from a place of things that make a difference, things that are changing and creating a personal lifestyle. So that's a big piece to what we're doing in that authenticity side of the business from a marketing standpoint.
Well, I believe, again, that AI implemented correctly can enhance the authentic connection as well, because you know now who you can serve to the nth degree. Like, you know exactly who your avatar is. You know exactly if you prompt correctly.
Yes.
If you prompt correctly, you know exactly
That
who you can serve. Which then again creates more authenticity if you continue to prompt it the correct way. But again, it's using tools to our advantage as business owners out there, and as well as investors, and even the M&A service providers out there. You guys have all these tools to leverage to be able to enhance your service to other people and serve them at a higher capacity. That's exactly what we're doing here with the Acquisition Headquarters brand, is serving you at a higher capacity. You, the seasoned operator, the M&A service provider, as well as the holdco, as well as the investors. We're excited to be able to have our acquisition conference coming up soon.
I'm excited for it.
And if you guys have any further questions or would like to follow this gentleman, how do we get a hold of you?
Yeah, begoodmedia.com is our website. And then, LinkedIn is a great place. Justin Thompson, I think it's Justin Thompson --begoodmedia, but you can find me pretty easily on there. Is a good place to do it as well.
Well, again, we just want to say thank you so much for joining us today on the podcast. If you guys have any further questions about our AHQ network, as well as the councils that we do have across the different states in the U.S., as well as Aquacon, simply just go to acquisitionhq.co, and we'll see you soon. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.